Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Last Stand. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty. He's Jay Campbell. And if you're looking for safe, if you're looking for normal, if you're looking for middle of the road, if you're looking for boring, you're not going to find it here because we're the last generation of real humans. And we think it's time to get busy. Jay Campbell, who's always busy. What you up to right now, my brother?
Jeffrey Daugherty, how are you, brother?
You know what? If I've ever been better, I don't remember when. And that's the truth.
You look amazing. And as you know, as a joke, on the show right now, as we're going live, there's not a lot of people watching. So I'll get this in right now. I asked you for a new headshot because we're building a new graphic for the show because we're investing in ourselves, Jeffrey.
I like it.
But you sent me a couple shots and you weren't smiling. So I was laughing at you and you finally sent me a picture of you smiling. I was like, damn, that's a really good picture, man.
I was trying to do like you do the fish lips. You know how you do, just like
what does the guy say? It says two.
I was trying to do, what was that one from
Blue Steel.
Blue Steel. I was trying to do Blue Steel. I didn't quite get it right.
No, but you look good, man. You're very vibrant. You've got a nice tan going. You're leaner than you've definitely probably been in a long time in your life, and it shows, man. Your channel is getting bigger again.
That's what it's called. Sandra says it's duck face.
No, but it's awesome. And I know the last 3 podcasts that you and I have done together have been phenomenal. And I don't say that because of what I think, because as you and I have said a million times, we don't even watch our podcasts, right? We have no idea what we end up saying live, but the people that follow us, especially some of our closer inner circle people, have all been saying that, wow, you guys are just killing it. Keep it coming, keep it raw, keep it the way it is. So it's like, I'm very excited. Like I told you yesterday, I really want to invest more into this.
Yeah, the only ones I watch are Sandra's, to be honest with you. And it's fun when we met a while back, but in December, I had an event here, Extravaganza of Enlightenment, and I weighed about 244 then. And wow. Today I weighed at the gym and I was 194.
That's awesome, dude. 50
so I'm
pounds.
about to drop under 190. And thank you, Sandra. Sandra says I'm smoking. I look great. I appreciate that. I'm glad she thinks so because I'm moving in with her next week. It'd be bad if she didn't think so. And there's just great synergy. There's great energy. There's great chemistry. And that's what this whole thing is about. And you sent me a book last night that I started reading, and it kind of blew my mind. And it's way outside my comfort zone. And tell us what this book's about, Jay.
So yeah, and first off, what's up, Sandra, and what's up to everybody watching right now? We really appreciate you guys constantly, checking out our broadcast every week, and obviously Jeff's channel and my channel. And I'll just put this out there because I get a lot of people complaining that I never say this, and I do a terrible job of this. But if you are a follower of my work and you would like to read some of the stuff that I put out there, I'm happy to send you a free book. Just email me. It's jay@trtrevolution.com. I do have 3 Amazon best-selling books on intermittent fasting, hormone optimization, and testosterone replacement therapy / optimization therapy. So again, I'm happy to send you guys those books.
And Jay, I want you to know that I've decided to take your advice. Yeah. I'm going to eat on the days that I work out. I'm going to fast on the days that I don't work out. I don't like it because I'm getting such fast results, but I'm going to eat on Monday, not eat on Tuesday, work out on Wednesday, eat on Wednesday, not Thursday, and then I won't eat on the weekends.
Well, I mean, it's like I told you, and we'll get to the book in a second, but a lot of people screw up on fasting. And it's not their fault because before my book, there really wasn't a lot of really good hardcore science on understanding how to optimize fasting for muscle preservation, right? Because a lot of people look into fasting from an obesity standpoint or for a medical necessity, and they look at just pure body fat loss. How do I lose weight?
I have to lose weight. Obesity standpoint, Jay.
But the truth is, and this is where people, this isn't me. I wish I was this smart, but today, as medicine starts looking at things from a more evidence-based standard, they understand now, again, not sick care, but optimization. They understand now that the greatest deterrent to disease while a human being ages is muscle.
Right.
And most people used to think that muscle was a hindrance, right? As you know, people above our generation thought muscle turned to fat. I mean, there's so much nonsense out there about muscle, but now they know that Yeah. Muscle is the greatest deterrent to disease. So if you're going to fast correctly, you have to make sure that you maintain, if not slightly build muscle as you lower your fat. So we created a diet, as you know, called the metabolic blowtorch diet. It's more of a lifestyle, but you fast when you don't lift weights, and you eat when you train, which is exactly what you're talking about. I'm sorry, somebody's calling in. But that, when you do it that way and you get obviously regimented, you figure out a training program around your non-fasting days, and then you eat, somewhat clean or hopefully clean on your training days, you will have better results because your body gets metabolically primed to burn fat preferentially on fasting days. And on non-fasting days, on your eating / training days, you actually feel better because your body is conserving energy so that it builds muscle or holds on to muscle, if that makes sense.
So you're telling me that I will, in the long term, I will get better results by following the metabolic blowtorch diet than I will by fasting for long periods of time and still working out during those fasts.
100%. I mean, without doubt. I mean, I've been using the metabolic blowtorch diet now for almost 2 years straight. And I can go like I did in Thailand, which I was very open with you last week on our first podcast back. I ate whatever I wanted to eat. I did not fast. My body clock was shot. It's 14 hours. My head there. And I stayed lean and extremely trim. And I'm with, now 9 days back. This is, technically 8 days, 8.5 days since being back now. I'm back into my groove. I fasted all last week. So I fasted 4 days or 3.5 days. And I had no issues. I did not put on a bunch of body fat. And trust me, I ate I ate a lot of sugar. I wasn't paying attention to what I eat. I didn't drink. I never drink. So I never have that issue. But I drank a lot of sugar or ate a lot of sugar. I ate a lot of gummy bears, just non-nutritional, nutritionally worthless food. Okay?
Yeah.
And it didn't harm me at all. But that's because my body has been on that plan of every other day fasting for literally, almost 2 years. So
and it's funny because
it's very easy to do it. It's very easy to do it.
Yeah, our schedule with Sandra and with Sophia, and I had forgotten about the metabolic blowtorch because I know you hate this. I followed most of it and blew some of it off. And
well, no, you were fasting long term, which works for fat loss, but it also can get risky because if you start losing muscle, you slow your metabolism down.
Right, and Sandra would say, hey, why don't we fast on the days where Sophia is not with us? And that works out to be, strangely enough, every other day. So it's going to work out just perfectly for my lifestyle and for my family's lifestyle. And I'm going to put you to the test, Jay. You haven't let me down yet. I think that you're pretty much the major motivation, you and Jim, for the shape I've been able to get myself in over the past 6 months.
That's awesome. Well, just remember too, you're going to have more energy when you train, when you're carbing. I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, your body runs on glycogen. Glycogen is a stored form of carbohydrate / glucose. So, I mean, you can't train intensely, especially with Ford's training, which is Jim's training program, at that high rep range, any kind of intensity if you don't have glycogen in your muscles. So as I was telling you at the very beginning, most people who read the first books that came out into the mainstream on fasting, on intermittent fasting, have it all wrong because those quote unquote gurus, and they're none of the sort actually, but they would say fast for 16 hours and then, eat for 14 hours. But a lot of them would recommend that you fast at you break your fast by training, right? So you're training at the end of your 16-hour fast, which is stupidity because your amino acid and glycogen pool is at rock bottom. And so you have no energy to train with. I mean, you're literally, depleting your body's muscle protein when you train, which is the worst thing you could do. You always want to have your muscle glycogen stores filled up or topped off when you train, because that's what provides the energy when you're training. Yep.
And I'll admit to you right here on live radio or whatever we're on, I plateau for about 2 weeks, and I thought, you know what, Jay might be right.
Every now and then I get, get a wild hair gas up my butt. And every now and then.
I don't know why I doubted a multi-Amazon best-selling author. Shame on me.
Like my good friend George Cordova, I'll throw a shout out to. He calls me a renowned author.
A renowned author. Like I asked you before I interrupted you, what's this book about that you sent me? I've read about half of it.
Okay, so the book is called Babaji, the alien extraterrestrial. And shout outs to Robert Stanley, very, very big esoteric alternative researcher, Unicus Radio, awesome guy. I've done a couple podcasts with him. Rex knows him. I don't know.
Next week.
Have you guys met?
Yes, he's been on the show once. He'll be back next week.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. Well, let me know when he's on, because you're going to bring me on so we can all talk together. But
that would be great. We'll just plan to have the three of us.
Okay, that'd be epic. But yeah, because I just talked to him a couple days ago. But anyway, he sent it out to his list, which I'm sure you're probably on. And he said, look, read this book. He said, this book is next level, for guys like you and Jeff and Rex and all these people that are really in the inner knowing of all these things. He's like, you just trust me, stop what you're doing and read this. And so, to hack through it real quick, because as you said, it's extremely highbrow. It's very arcane. He's talking about tautology, epistemology, obviously philosophy, ancient texts. I mean, there's everything in this. And by the way, the guy, the author is a guy by the name of Weitzman or Whiteshaw. Well, I forget what his name is. I'm not looking at it right now. I have it open, but
it's a Wiseman, Raj D. Wiseman.
Raj D. Wiseman. So anyway, he ends up being a disciple of a guru.
I don't think that's his real name. I'm thinking that's Raj the Wise Man. It's an autonym. It's it's a pseudonym. The book. It sounds like right. I'm Raj the Wise Man. That's interesting. I just picked up on that.
Yeah, it's something. But bottom line is, he was a disciple of a guru. And this guru was supposedly also a disciple of Babaji. Now, Babaji in this book is supposedly Thoth.
Oh, really? He's Thoth.
He's Thoth. He's Hermes. Trimestic, the glass, all those different names that Thoth has been known by, which is essentially the son of Enki. Okay, because remember, Enki had two sons. He had Thoth and he had Marduk. So he goes on in the rest of the book, if you read the whole entire thing. And by the way, it's an amazing book. It's so deep, as you know. You've read parts of it.
Incredibly arcane.
But just there's a lot of really divine knowledge in there. That's why it's like really hard for me to think that any of it's spoofed, because the one thing, Jeff, that I like about it so much is they have layers. And by the way, I told you this. I sent it to Gerald, and Gerald is completely mind blown about the book.
He is. You told me that.
So if there's any guy on the planet that's like the guy when it comes to Anunnaki, esoteric lore and wisdom, it's him. And he said he's reading it right now and going through it, especially with his King's list. And he's like, wow, this is some pretty deep stuff. So the bottom line is just like, where I'm at, and I'm not done with the book yet. I mean, I've kind of done, because I did get to the end, but there's parts that I kind of didn't read, like Jay Campbell read. So I'm going to go back, but he classifies as like an X-axis and a Y-axis of races of beings. And I've never seen this before. And he says that the X-axis, and I may be paraphrasing this wrong and inverting them, and if I am, I apologize, but you can fact check me. And by the way, we'll give you guys the book. Jeff will give you a link to the book. You can find this book. It's not available publicly, obviously. It's pretty suppressed knowledge, but we'll give you a link to the PDF of the book.
Absolutely.
He talks about the angel hierarchies, or the angelic hierarchies of beings, and the extraterrestrial hierarchies of beings. And then he also talks about how there's so many different dimensions and multi-dimensions that an actual extraterrestrial could be angelic, and an angelic could be extraterrestrial to humans in form. So that's why, and if you think about it, Jeff, and we talked about this many times on our podcast together, this is such a zoo here, because there's no way for us to truly understand in our 3D limited brains all of this when they're appearing to be different things because of our limited perception, right? Like we only have our, the way we see things, and obviously the way we can interpret things in linear fashion. It's impossible to know what's what. And so he really does a really good job in the book, and to me at least, of breaking down like what's what.
Absolutely.
And what's an angelic being. It's pretty amazing.
And Jay, what really got my attention is I've been going through some things. I don't know if you've seen any of the recent podcasts I've done, but I've been stuck on these things. I've been on this whiteboard with the two circles, and about being male and female, about being in mesh, which is wrong. And when I looked at the book, it wasn't too far into the book, and I'm looking at the book, and I come up to this page, which shows, and this is such incredible synchronicity, shows what I was trying to get to. It's not even really two circles of male and female. That's just a 3D perception, but really it's the feminine sacred energy.
Exactly.
And the male sacred energy working together. And as they work, it creates actually the yin and yang. So this is really what all of our divine sacred relationships are supposed to be, is this yin and yang, which means I'm not taken from you, you're not taken from me, but we have committed to each other and have each other's highest good in mind. And what we're doing is working together and creating, according to the golden ratio. And this is what's going to save this planet. This is what's going to save this world. This is what's going to turn us around and bring us to ascension, or the event, or whatever you want to call it, is getting in this type of a union with each other and working this type of an energetic sequence, and not enmeshing with each other, and not stealing from each other, and not owning and controlling each other. And for me to see this, I'm like, wow, this is just another huge synchronicity in my life. So this
don't unshare it though, by the way, and stay right there. I want to point something where you're at right there. So look where he has underlined on the right, the second page, and that right there is so huge. He calls it the spiralic, or the spirologic understanding constitutes the esoteric of the esoteric. So what he's saying, as you go deeper in this book, is that the spiral is everything intertwined in all of life. The spiral DNA, the double helix, the caduceus. I mean, everything is spiralic, or spiralic, or however you want to say that. Like all life, all sentient life is spiralic.
It is it's kind of the trademark of the divine, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
When you think about that movie, what was the movie where they went to the planet, and the one where they were looking for the creators? You know the movie, but I can't remember. They said in there, God doesn't create in straight lines. And here again, we're showing the spiral divine design. And here's something that really struck me is the spiralic understanding constitutes the esoteric of the esoteric. Jay, most people can't even handle the esoteric. And we're talking about the esoteric of the esoteric. We're getting deep, and we have to get deep, because we really are the last generation of real humans. And if we're going to save this thing, we got to get not to the esoteric, but even the esoteric of the esoteric.
Go further down and look what he says, encoded in the idea. Serpents, snakes, and dragons were merely form metaphors for the spiral. And it makes so much sense. The Kundalini.
Magic and metaphor.
Dude, again, guys, obviously we're 17, 18 pages in. This is a 400-page book. There's your friend, the Apostle Paul, by the way, in there.
Yes.
But the reality, you have to read this book, everyone who's a seeker, who really wants to understand what's going on in this world, because this guy, again, has laid stuff out. Stanley's fascinated. All these great Anunnaki researchers who are now familiar with this guy are becoming even more fascinated. I'm sure more is going to come out as we start to uncover and decode a lot of the meaning in this book. But Jeff, one thing that I was going to bring up with you, and I apologize. I'm so
Ouroboros too.
Yeah. But there was something that came out of this today that I sent you a text message yesterday, and I cut and pasted. I was sending you a lot of cut and pasting from this thing, because as you know, it's so fascinating. It's
powerful.
Dude, so all these things that you and I talk about since the beginning of our messages together and our podcast together, we keep going on and on about why we know that optimization allows downloads, and why being physically optimized is truly the key. I think it's about page 98 or 99. Don't go look for it, because we'll just get lost looking for it. But he talks about the mind, body, spirit. And he talks about literally the endocrine system, the endocrine glands.
Holy crap.
This is crazy. This is crazy, by the way. They function as a feminine system.
They do.
So, yes, he talks about the masculine system being the mind, and the feminine system being the gland. So, Jeff, this just hit me when I was reading this last night. It was late at night, or it was late at night, Saturday night, when I saw that, and I messaged you yesterday. But what if the reason we feel the way we feel, and this is going to be really crazy, again, talk about the opposite of opposites. What if the reason we feel so good when we're optimized and balanced is because when balanced, knowing that the endocrine system is feminine, what if you're actually totally in tune with your feminine energy when you're balanced and optimized? So all of this, think about the cabal, the NWO, the transhumanists, the Luciferians. All they want to do is tell people in the mainstream that using testosterone or hormones makes people angry and toxically masculine and all of these other things. What if it's the exact opposite?
Oh, Jay, are you trying to tell me that the exact opposite of what the fear and guilt control matrix is telling us is actually the truth?
Exactly, dude.
And Jay, this is amazing because I just had a podcast earlier today with Halo Marquise, and I had shown him this drawing, my part of this drawing. But if you take these two circles and if you put this on the bottom of them, he did that and it turns into a heart. And that's what real love is.
There you go, dude.
And holy crap, here it is right here in these pages. Folks, if you don't think this is downloads, folks, if you don't think this is divine information slamming into your thick dome, you've got some work to do. And it is, and you're talking about physical optimization, mental and causal, astral and emotional, quantum, physical. If you're not physically optimized, you can't get to the quantum, can't get to the astral, the emotional, can't get to the mental, causal, can't get up to the heavens.
There it is. It's right there.
And what is the foundation of it all, Jay Campbell?
Right now, it's Jay Campbell and Jeffrey Doherty physically optimized. Without it, that's your base crux right there.
Well, I'm not quite there yet. I'm almost there.
You're pretty close.
I'm almost there.
But look how amazing that is, though, too, because stay right there. Look at this. So the evolutionary arc, right? You're going up to get to the involutionary arc, which is to go within.
And it's only by going within that you're able to go up. And SANDRA, catchphrase, besides the fourth time is the charm, her catchphrase is, it's an inside job.
Exactly. There you go. That's exactly right. I mean, again, this book, guys, is profound wisdom. Yeah, this book is full of profound wisdom. I mean, it gets even made, it's much more big picture, esoteric, the first 100 to 125 pages, maybe 150. And then it gets into like an absolute decoding of everything.
Yeah.
Who the Sumerians were, who the Akkadians were, who the Anunnaki were, how they've infiltrated everything all the way up into this moment, how they're still here, how they're still involved, how they were involved in all the religions, how they went to the Eastern religions, how they infiltrated the Abrahamic religions. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I think at this point, Jeffrey, and I know neither of us are experts on the Anunnaki, but we obviously know people who are. He actually, just for the people that watch this right now, because we'll have a ton of people that watch this after, he actually gives Sitchin credit, but then he also completely disses him because he says Sitchin, and this is what I found fascinating. Sitchin is an intellectual. So if we calculate Sitchin on the Hawkins scale, then Sitchin is one of those guys who's a skeptic. He's in the 400 range. He doesn't feel, he doesn't have his heart chakra tuned. He knows nothing about his heart chakra. And by the way, the author talks about that in the book. And that's why Sitchin, as he said, was blocked from a higher knowing of all of this information that he had access to, because again, he's an intellectual. So he gives credit to Sitchin in certain things. And then he also says Sitchin was way off. So again, this is a further decoding of anything I've seen. And again, I can always say what Gerald told me via Facebook messaging, but he said, wow, I've really got to spend some time on this book because I've only seen one thing wrong. And he said the one thing that he saw wrong was that Thoth was the second born and not the firstborn.
Yeah. That's splitting hairs. But I just want to call everybody's attention to this again. Why do I love Sandra? Sandra's catchphrase, it's an inside job. And if you look at this, if you want to have evolution, if you want to grow, if you want to develop, if you want to go up towards the heavens, if you want to go back to the Father, if you want to ascend, you've got to have involution. So it is absolutely an inside job if you want to get to your spiritual evolution. And it absolutely is an inside job. And the base of it all is physical optimization. You are not going to get spiritually optimized unless and until you're physically optimized. And that being said, Jay, what do you say to someone that has physical debilitations that prevents them from being physically optimized, or is
they
there
can still, I mean, it's a great question. They can still be physically optimized. I mean, it's, again, we're talking about like how clear are your chakras? How much inner work are you doing? How much prayer are you putting out into the universe? There's no reason that a person who's physically disabled cannot still be physically optimized. I was just reading about the guy who's a bodybuilder who doesn't have arms. Okay. If you can perceive it, you can achieve it. That's all there is to it. That's how I go now when I see people who are physically limited. But the quantum, everything, as you know, Jeff, all is possible in the realms of the quantum. How bad do you want it? You can do it. I mean, you know, somebody actually, let's stay there because that's great. Somebody asked me today, and I won't mention the name. They're probably watching this right now because they're big fans of me and you. How can I get, for people that cannot use metformin, or what was the question? For people that cannot use metformin or cannot fast for specific reasons, how can I do like a cleanse, or what was the word that he used specifically? I can't think of what it was, but how can they what's the word people use? It's not a cleanse, but what is it? I can't think of the word, but how can someone like cleanse their body who's not able to fast, right? Which, because when you fast, there's a process called autophagy, which is essentially internal senescence of cleansing your cells. And I told him like this, I said, look, and again, this is going to offend some people when I say this, but you cannot, I'm sorry, it was detoxification. That's the word. How can someone detoxify their body? And detoxification, Jeffrey, is a scam. Because, you know, a lot of the woo-woo crowd, new age crowd talks about colonics and cleansers and all this nonsense. If you drink alcohol at all, your body, your cellular DNA is being overwhelmed by the nerve toxin that is alcohol. It is systemic. It stays in your cells. It stays there for a long time. So to believe that if you're going to saturate your body with alcohol, that you're then going to take some natural supplements or stupid, you know, you're going to not eat or whatever you're going to do. It's a colonic, all this nonsense, wheatgrass. You have alcohol in your cells, and it's going to take a long time for the alcohol. So the best way to detox is to stop drinking alcohol.
And isn't it funny, Jay, that this entire Western society, at least, is built on alcohol? We have a celebration, we have a drink. We sit down to have a meal, we have a drink. Stop drinking alcohol already.
Jeffrey, listen to this. I just read something yesterday, and I'm sorry that I can't give to where it was I read this, but it was something off of David Hawkins. I was Googling some stuff online.
Andrew, what do you mean? What does that mean for the woman that's fully optimized?
What do you mean?
She just said, but what does that mean for the woman that is fully optimized? The same? I'm not sure what she's asking.
I don't know. Let me just stay on my train of thought. But if people, this is so mind-blowing about what you just said. If we could get all of humanity to not drink any alcohol for 3 weeks, 21 days, the level of consciousness would rise on this planet so that the people of higher vibration, which Hawkins talks about, 450 positive, would all move into the loving vibration consciousness, which then collectively would eliminate the dark forces from this planet like that.
Dude, alcohol is preventing the ascension of the human race.
Yes, it is. I've been saying this since I was 8 or 9 years old, and before I knew who I was before this current incarnation. And now that I know who I was before this, everybody knows why that makes sense, which we won't share. We'll do another podcast and talk about that.
SANDRA says they're keeping alcohol legal to make the money off your death.
Exactly.
Simple.
Well, but again, and we talked about this, and it's a brilliant conversation point. Why do they call alcohol spirits? Because the dark forces are in alcohol.
Because they want to tell you without telling you.
It's unbelievable, man.
I just don't understand why people. Sandra typed that a while ago and says she forgot. That's okay.
So ingrained, Jeff, like you said, in our culture to drink alcohol. It's in the commercials. You can't watch a sporting event without them telling you to celebrate by getting drunk. Have a couple brewskis with your boys. Go buy that 6-pack. $20 in your bank account. That's fine. I'll get an $18, 9-pack. It's absolute conscious suppressor. It's a destroyer of humanity. It's a destroyer of lives. It's a destroyer of relationships. It's like you said, it literally is the prime material on this globe, this rock, that keeps people consciously unaware.
It is the single biggest factor preventing human ascension right now. Alcohol.
100%.
Alcohol.
100%.
And crazily enough, Sandra went into rehab and quit drinking about 3 years ago. And completely independently, not knowing her, I stopped drinking alcohol 3 years ago. And I haven't had one drink since. And I'll never have another one. It's just, and I remember I never, when you started, I've never met the person yet that the first time they took a shot of whiskey thought, boy, that tastes good.
Exactly.
I've never met the person yet the first time they drank a beer thought, boy, that tastes great. But yet we train ourselves to drink it because it's so culturally ingrained to us.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, I've been blessed that I've never drank. I had one time in my life I got wasted, which was like, a rite of initiation from friends in high school that were having me do shots, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing, and I almost died. I got alcohol poisoning, vomiting, peritoneum, stomach lining, the whole 9 yards. Oh. And since then, and a lot of people who know me, like I would be that guy socially drinking in my late 20s and 30s when I was trying to go up the corporate, wage slave game with the water, a glass of like water and ice, saying it was a vodka on the rocks when it was water. I mean, I played that game. We've all been there, that peer pressure. You got to drink, people make fun of you. I mean, today that would never happen because just look at them right in the face and just laugh and tell them, why would I drink a nerve toxin? Why do you drink it? I mean, I always turn it around on people now when they ask me that. I make people very uncomfortable when they try to ask me why I'm not drinking. What's the matter with you? Are you a social misfit? No, I'm just, my IQ's higher than yours. That's normally what I'll say. That's normally what I say to people, or, I'll say something even worse. I always invert it, but it's amazing how brainwashed, extremely intelligent, successful people are when it comes to, imbibing alcohol, spirits. It's amazing.
Jay, I'm going to say something that's a little bit extreme, and I know it's very rare for me to do that, but if you come home from the end of a day and the first thing you have to do is pour yourself a drink, or if you go out to have fun and the first thing you have to do is pour yourself a drink, or if you go out to do any activity, the first thing you have to do is pour yourself a drink, that's because you don't really like yourself. You don't really have the courage to face life on your own, and it's a crutch, and you're a cripple.
Exactly. Well said. Very well said. You don't love yourself. That's exactly the truth. You have such low self-esteem that you have to, quote unquote, become the other guy, the ego, and not the higher self, your soul, by drinking. So you never.
You're a coward because you drink so you won't have to face yourself because you don't like yourself. You'd rather escape.
100%, dude. Again, remember we talk about that every time. Every person today not embracing their mission, not giving back to human beings, not observing loving kindness or serving others with peaceful loving kindness, not forgiving, is escaping. What is your form of escapism? Is it blue light? Is it alcohol? Is it sugar? Is it being a fat slob who cannot breathe or ambulate? Everyone who doesn't choose to serve a mission that benefits humanity is escaping in one form or the other. It's something.
So we have a question in the chat room that says, so you're at the gym pushing 300 because why?
I'm not pushing 300 ever. I don't do that. I don't lift with ego or momentum. Just like in my spiritual life, I live under control at all times. Okay. I'm not lifting 300 pounds. I go to the gym to increase muscle fiber expression, which is ultimately muscle to resist disease, which allows me to live longer and stronger. Stronger as in functionally strong. I can pick up my kids. I can change a flat tire if I have to. I can help other people in distress. If there's a building burning, you could probably put 3 people on my back and I can carry them out. Okay. But I don't lift to be narcissistic and big. Sure, I look good because I'm a function of my training, but I don't, don't get this wrong. People that make statements like that are insecure. It's that simple. Everyone should be training. The Greeks mandated this in their culture. It was mandatory that you exercise. It was mandatory that you value your body. Sound body built a sound mind. It's that simple.
In actuality, it's the opposite of ego, because if you don't get physically optimized, you're probably not ever going to get spiritually optimized. And spiritual optimization leads to the destruction of the ego as a servant and puts it in its correct place as a master. So physical optimization is an act of humility.
It is. It is. It absolutely is. I mean, again, what is your ultimate goal by optimizing your physicality? It's extending your life. By extending your life, if you're doing the right things from a spiritual component, which I find most people that are in great shape do, because they're balanced, again, all things, you're living longer to help more people.
So in actuality, physical optimization is service to others.
Exactly. 100%.
Now, Sandra, who has quit smoking over a year ago, makes the statement. So I'm not a smoker, never really was. I can't really make the statement. But Sandra says smoking, in her opinion, falls under the same category for the same reasons. It's a poison and it's a distraction from your true self.
It is. Smoking, we could probably do a whole show on smoking.
She's talking about cigarettes.
Yeah, no. But we could do a whole show on nicotine, because nicotine is actually not the poison. And this is where people get confused. That's where remember, everything is the opposite, guys. They've blamed nicotine as being the poison. If you study nicotine is a nootropic agent. It is a thermogenic agent, which means it actually stimulates and increases lipolysis, which is fat burning. Essentially, it increases cellular rate, which increases basic metabolic rate, which increases fat burning and cellular respiration. And all these amazing things it does. And so they've pigeonholed this nicotine as this addictive, horrible drug, when in actuality, it's the manufacturers of the alcohol and tobacco companies who have created chemicals that work your olfactory senses that make you want and fiend for the cigarette. It's not nicotine. I use nicotine to increase my brain power and to lose body fat. And as you know, Jeff, I've written about it in my book. It's in the Metabolic Literature site. We teach you how to use Nicorette gum to burn fat and to increase your brain power and your focus and attention. It's all true. It's all scientifically proven.
And as you were saying that, the former smoker, Sandra, said they put 17 different chemicals. That's probably a low estimate in cigarettes. So it actually is the chemicals.
Exactly. It's not nicotine at all. I'm constantly debating physicians and debating researchers over that because they're so confused. They don't understand the science. Because again, no one reads, Jeff. They get bits.
Yeah.
They search bits. They get Google bits, or they get bits of information that they just put everywhere around, but no one ever reads that. Even the smartest doctors in the world that I interview on my podcast will tell me, we don't have time to read anymore. All we have is 40 patients we have to see in 15-minute, 10-minute increments all through the day, get out of our 9-hour shifts.
Well, the politicians don't have time to read the laws they pass either. So there you go.
Speaking of, and this is probably going to affect some people out there today. I got an email this morning, and I got something from some other financial person that I followed last week. I don't know if you guys know this. If you owe the IRS $50,000 or more and you're in the United States, you better be really careful traveling internationally, because they are absolutely 100% revoking passports now. Obama, our good friend, the greatest president of all time, literally passed a law in the last 2 weeks of his presidency called the FAST Act. Obviously, it's an acronym for some nonsense. And one of the laws was, if you can believe this, and fact check me, I'm happy to send you guys this article. I could give Jeff the link and you can post it today. This is a very big financial advocate or financial analyst interpreting this law. They're going after the Federal Reserve. Any unused found funds in the Federal Reserve, which we know is a scam in and of itself, the government has access to. So guess what part is that? People that have international passports that are U.S. citizens who owe the IRS more than $50,000. So if you do, and I know people that do, There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are on payment plans. Don't leave the country because your ass might not get back in. I'm not joking when I say that. I sent that article to one of my good friends today. He's a very successful person. He owes the IRS about 70 grand. And he was planning on going somewhere at the end of the year. And I said, dude, you're playing with fire.
Yeah.
Because if they revoke your passport, you ain't getting back into the country. And if you don't have a passport and you land in an international port or an international airport like I did in China, you ain't getting into their country either.
You'd be like, was that Tom Hanks that was living in the airport in that one movie?
Dude, yeah, you remember that movie? But I'm not kidding you. I mean, like, this is what I read this today. I was like, wow, there's 347,000 Americans at last count. They owe the IRS more than $50,000. And every single one of those people, they're basically telling them, if you travel internationally, you are literally rolling the dice and playing with fire.
Yeah. And folks, if you don't know it, the Federal Reserve is no more federal than Federal Express. Yeah. It's not.
What is that? That's the Rockefeller. And then what's the other guys from Middle East? Not the Middle East. What's the other big bankers? I can't think of their name.
Catherine says for you to plug your show with Jim and Rob.
Catherine, what's going on? Yeah. So guys, if you're watching Jeff's show, I mean, obviously we do this on Mondays and sometimes we'll have some emergency broadcasts later in the week. I think I'm going to try to get Jeff to try to commit 2 times a week. For our show now, but we do a podcast on Wednesdays that's called the Doctors Roundtable, and that's on 3:30 Pacific Standard Time on Wednesdays. And honestly, no BS, we literally have 5 or 6, and I'm trying to expand it a little bit more, of the top optimization doctors in the entire world.
Great stuff, and it's scary
on the show, and they're completely not, they're all unhinged, completely off the cuff. They don't care about standardized, medicine. They will say whatever they got to say. They're very reckless. They say a lot of crazy stuff, but it's intel, man. The best.
It's amazing. It really is. It's amazing. I've watched.
If you have a question about your health in any capacity, you should watch that show because these guys will go out on a limb and tell you exactly the truth.
I was blown away when these doctors, and these are 4 successful doctors. You can tell by the houses they're sitting in. They're very successful, and they say that they're not allowed to offer or recommend preventive medicine. They're only there to schedule people for surgery and give people drugs.
Remember what we said last week, and this is mind-blowing stuff. Right now, the cardiology silo / lobby in North America, and this is probably globally, but North America for sure, you scored 201 on your total cholesterol. And by the way, I'm not going to go deep here. We'll go deep on Wednesdays if you want to watch. But cholesterol is a completely misunderstood, over-exaggerated, overblown biomarker because it doesn't mean that you have issues with cardiovascular health if you have high cholesterol. That's all I'm going to say right now. But if you score 201, which is just above the mean, boom, you're recommended a statin. Wait a minute, excuse me. You're not recommended a statin. You're scripted a statin. You're now on statins. And by the way, guys, you don't have to fact check me. Just PubMed, Medline. You can Google this. Just Google this topic: statins and side effects, or statins plus side effects. Statins cause more problems than any drug known to man. They suppress the hypogonadal axis. They cause depression. They cause sexual dysfunction. They cause issues with the eyes. I mean, you cannot imagine how bad statins are for human health. And I swear to God, right now, Jeff, 35% of the people that are watching this right now are using a statin. That's a fact.
I don't even know what a statin is other than Staten Island, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
A statin is the drug that they script people that have high cholesterol.
Okay. Craziness. So, Jay, are there right now Anunnaki walking around amongst us?
That's a great question. Because Anunnaki are technically of a higher dimensional existence than us, they can appear in form, which is us in a physical, meat suit avatar.
Would they appear physically optimized?
I
wonder if they would, seriously.
Technically, of course they would. But technically, the Anunnaki, when they were in form, in their natural planet or their natural gravitational, attraction, they're taller. They're much bigger. Okay.
What would they look like? Sandra asks, and that's what I was trying to get to.
I don't think really, I don't really think anyone knows. They could be reptilian. They definitely are. They definitely have the ability to shapeshift. But again, because of their dimensionality, we as human beings only see things in a 3-dimensional prism. So they hacked. Okay, so think of it like this: they hacked our ability to see.
Right.
Okay, so they can appear to us in a lot of different ways, which is what they've done over the history, over the times, over eons, millennia. And that's how we have all these different interpretations of reptilians and insectoids and grays and all these other things. They can appear really any way they want. They can obviously telepathically read our minds. Yeah. They can see what we're fearful of. They can do all these different things. There are good ones, and there are definitely.
That was my next question. Are there benevolent ones?
They're malevolent and benevolent.
You think they look like gladiators?
You what?
You think they look like gladiators?
Well, it's yes and no. I mean, obviously, depending on the age, I'm sure they did. I mean, there's tons of pictures of what the Anunnaki look like in the Sumerian and Akkadian text. They were tall, obviously much taller than the indigenous people of the time. And again, a lot of the pictures that we see from these texts could be.
They kind of look like Jay Campbell in Thailand.
No, they're much bigger than me, I would assume. But I feel like there's enough out there in the ancient texts to kind of show us what they represented to the indigenous people of the time. The problem that we all have today, and again, Gerald Clark is a much better repository of information on this than I am. I've read both of his books like 10 times each. And so he's a very, very astute scholar on this, but they can appear in different formats. Like they appeared probably in ancient alien suits when they first showed up on the planet. And so you see a lot of that stuff in a lot of the lore and a lot of the ancient texts. They also appeared
as tree people the night she met Lord Shiva.
In the Eastern meditative sciences and learnings and teachings, they looked like Siddhama, a yogi with a red, right where the pineal gland is, like a red ruby or a rupal or something like that. Right. So yes, I mean, they appear to that relevant culture at that moment in time, something that brain can handle from a configuration standpoint that makes sense.
Shiva might even be an Anunnaki.
I mean, I think they are. I mean, I think if you read that book, you'll understand that that's exactly who they are. They manipulate all religion. They're here, like Gerald Clark. If you guys have ever seen the book, or not the movie, not the book, but the movie Jason and the Argonauts, okay? Yeah. And they talk about Jason and the Golden Fleece, okay? And they have the scene in the movie with the they're playing in the amphitheater and the gods are like, figures on the thing and they're moving the figures and then they're moving the little people on the horses, which are a representation of humans.
Yep.
Essentially, the Anunnaki are the quote unquote, Lord gods who are in control of the matrix. And they're moving us around like pieces of a chessboard. Whenever they want to, right? Like they control politics, they control they're the shadow rulers, they're the rulers of everybody, but there's good and bad. And there's some of them are here for us to ascend and reach, a higher status. And some of them don't like us. Marduk, blah, blah, blah. And by the way, there's a part in the book that says that Marduk was Adolf Hitler reincarnated.
I saw that. I read that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff in there. It makes a lot of sense, right? There's a lot of despots over the years you would most likely think were probably reincarnated forms of some other beings that were doing the same thing in different eras and epochs.
So do you think there are Anunnaki that at least phase in and out amongst us? Do you think this guru dude is truly an Anunnaki?
I have no way to know, but I would assume that based on the information in the book and how high level it is, and obviously how valuable it is, there's probably more truth with error. As we know, every ancient text, as I always come with Gerald, I always break it down. We know that whoever's behind all this, and we know there's a lot of beings, angelic, extraterrestrial, interdimensional, tweaking with us, tweaking our DNA. I mean, we have a lot of probably beings from the future coming back to fix us. Right. So there's got to be more positive in that book or actually real than negative. And that's just my opinion. I have no way to know.
Well, we're going to ask the Rods.
Awesome.
Are there Anunnaki walking amongst us today? Yes, for sure.
There you go.
Are some of the Anunnaki that are amongst us today benevolent? Yes. Interesting.
There you go.
Wow. Is there one certain physical aspect we can look for that they all look like? No.
Yep.
Wow. Very interesting stuff.
Yep. So
very, very interesting stuff. Good idea.
For me, Jeff, I really like the book because it, again, towards the end, it really tries to identify all the different cultures and how they look at their religious teachings and figures, avatar beings, avatar spiritual leaders, and how he connects them to Anunnaki. And Gerald does a very good job of that too in his books, but this is even a little bit like, to me, it's a little bit closer. Although if you read Gerald's books again, it would probably be about the same.
Is this guru they talk about truly an Anunnaki? Wow. Is this guru they talk about truly benevolent? Is there any deception within the book? No. Yep. Is there any error within the book? Is there any error within the book?
Truth with error.
Kind of, sort of some error, but it doesn't look like it's malevolent error. And I know divining rods are magic. They're our intention. And I don't mind being magic. I like being magic. I like using my intention to help me. Oh, stop the presses. I just got a text message from Rocky Stucci. He's got next week off. We're going to be able to get the show with him and Sandra talking about addiction and recovery. So great.
There you go.
Absolutely. That'll be a great show. We should did we have Rocky on with us before?
No.
We should. That would be great.
Yeah, bring him on, dude. I'm down.
He won't let you do him like Scotty let you do him, though. Poor Scotty. Oh, I told you his wife watched that show and she was less than pleased.
What?
Best thing that could have happened, probably, because it got open.
Again, transparency and authenticity is always the best thing. Before we end the show, and I don't know if we're ending it right now. I know we have a lot of people watching.
We got at least 9 minutes.
Yeah, I did want to mention, Napoleon again. I mean, the guy is literally, you guys, if you're on Twitter and you're not watching the feed of Dr. Anthony Napoleon, you're missing out.
I just followed him.
On the hour, the guy is dropping truth bombs and information that is really, like, in the mainstream is hard to get. I mean, there aren't too many people in the mainstream talking about the Elohim, which again clearly are the Anunnaki, tweaking humans and then not tweaking others. And I wanted to say this, but his theory, and again, I don't really think it's a theory at this point. I think we have a lot of evidence. He says, if you didn't get tweaked, you're psychopathic.
Interesting. I left them alone. I've actually seen Olivia Newton-John in concert. The little Olivia Newton-John talking there. And she was fantastic. And dude, they sang that. She started singing that song from Greece. John Travolta comes out on the stage, starts singing it with her. It was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, it was fun.
John Travolta, as they say, is a little light in the drawers, bro.
We were sitting here in Clearwater, Florida, my son and I, my son who's 34 now, we're sitting there eating at this little diner in Clearwater.
And he comes right in.
He came in, he sat down next to me. Hey, how you doing? And we just treated him like a normal guy. And he started talking to us. And, about halfway through, he says, you know what? I really appreciate you just treat me like a regular guy. It's really nice. And I arm wrestled him for who was going to pay the bill. He wanted to pay our bill. And I arm wrestled him. You may say that he's light, but he's not light in his tensile strength because he beat me.
His tensile strength. Awesome.
He beat me.
Wow. How long ago was that, though?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't in good shape.
Yeah, that was before Fully Optimized, Jeff.
Yeah, it was about 7 years ago. But he was the nicest guy in the world, so I don't want to say anything bad about John Travolta.
John Travolta is a very interesting guy.
You're all right with me, bro.
Very, very smart. I mean, again, we don't even talk about that, but that movie that he did was a movie about the Anunnaki. What was it called? The Alien movie that he did. That bombed at the theaters. God, what was that called?
The L. Ron Hubbard movie.
Yes,
Battlefield Earth.
That is literally a movie about the Anunnaki.
That's a screenplay written by L. Ron Hubbard.
Exactly, dude. That whole movie is about the Anunnaki.
Yep.
Yes. What was the name of that movie? I can't. Travolta.
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield Earth. That movie, if you guys have not seen that movie, is a movie about the hierarchical rulership of the Anunnaki, the brothers, the clan, the whole thing. That's exactly what that movie is. And that's why Hollywood deadpanned it, because they're like, I don't want people to know. We don't want people to know.
Scientology, Xenu was an Anunnaki.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
It all circles around, doesn't it?
Jeff, and you probably know a lot more about this than the average Joe, but the Mormons, the Book of Mormon,
yes,
that's Anunnaki too. I mean, what do you think Joseph Smith was given the gold plates? Go dig up the gold plates in central New York. I mean, hello. I mean,
Misty
it's all
Gail James says that she was feeling that movie, even though it bombed. She liked it.
Dude, listen.
Catherine says it was a great movie. I never saw it.
It's a good. I mean, it's actually good. I mean, it's not like a flop, but it bombed in Hollywood because, again, Hollywood deadpanned it. They're not allowed. You're not allowed to like tell people what's going on.
But you say the new Tom Cruise Mission Impossible is off the hook, right?
I heard. I haven't seen it, but I heard it's absolutely amazing. Is it out, or did it start next week?
No, you said somebody gave you a sneak.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's out yet. I think it comes out this weekend. I think it comes out this weekend with the new Denzel Equalizer movie. Oh, by the way, I watched last night the movie that only has a couple of words with the aliens that attack. You can't talk. I forget what it's called.
I didn't.
Somebody's watching it knows. It was out like 4 months ago, and it finally came on Apple TV. And me and Mark
I have seen Dark City. Yes.
It's like a 3-word title, and it's like a family, and there's aliens, and they can't talk because they hear when you make sounds, and they attack.
Is it called Arrival?
No, it's not The Arrival. I forget what it's called, but it's something Silence or something. I don't know. We watched it last night. It just came out.
No good.
And it's a very highly rated movie. It's good. It's interesting. It's not as great as my boy Tony said. It was amazing, but it's not that good. But it's decent. But he's
about to be my boy when I get over to South Florida. I'm gonna make him my boy too.
He's a good dude, man. Him and Jim just hung out this weekend. He's definitely a great dude.
Jim is like more Tampa Bay area, right?
Yeah, but they were down in the Keys this weekend they were jet skiing and hanging out this weekend. Oh, cool. I haven't spoken to him. I just saw some pictures of him in the group.
Yeah, I would definitely. And somebody talks about the series. I actually had and I forgot her name. She's a singer now, very nice lady. The one that was the brunette that was the head alien. I actually had her on my Blog Talk radio show back in the day.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I forget her name, but she was a very nice lady.
That show is that.
She follows me on Twitter for what that's worth.
The only question that I have, and my assumption is, as we get further into this book, and I'm going to ask Robert, and I'm going to ask that guy because I know Robert's going to have him on further, and you and I will talk to Robert next week. Are the Anunnaki the reptilians?
Are the Anunnaki the reptilians? That's a good question.
Meaning, do they appear as reptilians when they necessarily need to appear as reptilians, or because I still can't figure this out, or the Alpha Draconian reptilian, this ruling class, inner Earth reptilians, are they just a subsection underneath the Anunnaki, just more of their minions, the Dark Brotherhood minions, like with the Archons? I don't know. That's what I still don't understand. I've never been able to decode that.
Well, that's saying something if you can't decode it, Jay, but let me show people the book. Here's the book.
Yep.
And it's called Avatar Babaji E.T. Extraterrestrial. Is the Great Lord of Yoga an angel or an ET or both? By Raj D. Wiseman. The Rishi is the premier extraterrestrial theorist on the planet. That's what the book looks like. Both Jay and I were sent it by Robert Stanley. Jay sent this to me saying, stop what you're doing. A prince of Anunnaki, royalty, third son of Lord Inky, born on earth, married a half-sister, spiritually realized unto Maha Avatar status and stayed.
Yep. It's Thoth. It's essentially Thoth.
It's Thoth, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So if you want to get a hold of this book, send me an email through one of our websites, jeffreydarty.com, rawreflections.org, or serpentanddove.org, and I'll send you the PDF to the book.
Yeah, it's definitely a book worth reading. I mean, everyone on this channel, anyone in the esoteric alternative research community, it's deep, deep, deep esoteric knowledge. But but as you said, very benevolent. Definitely trying to get to a form or a version of the truth. I mean, obviously you just muscle tested it / divining rod tested it. Yep. It's mostly legit. I mean, Robert Stanley is, as you know, is a very knowledgeable guy. Very connected.
People say he's weird, but Sandra doesn't think he's weird. I don't think he's weird.
He's definitely not weird. Okay. He challenged Gerald when he talked about his conversation, or his, meditational contact in his 20s in Malibu with Enki.
Yep.
Okay. That podcast has been watched more than 1 million times. A lot of people around the world in the alternative research community have seen that. That's really made Robert's name. But I have done 3 podcasts with Robert. Robert and I are very close. I can send him a message. He'll send me a message right back. He's very sincere. He cares about humanity. He's all about serving other people. His whole life, all he's been doing is serving other people. He's done some amazing interviews with shamans. And I honestly think that him and Gerald will be the culmination. At some point, those 2 guys have to do a podcast together, because I think they're much closer than they actually even themselves think as far as their understanding. It's just, again, everything, Jeffrey, is truth with error. The Anunnaki themselves have corrupted / altered, edited the text. They've edited the Bible. They've edited everything so that none of us with our 3D puny brains can ever figure it out. There's no perfect story for us to understand. It's not going to happen.
And Robert Stanley will be back on the program within the next week or 2. We're just trying to work out a date. And Jay, are you familiar with the book Caesar's Messiah, Joseph Atwell?
I'm familiar with Atwell, but I don't know if I've read that book.
Yeah, it's a New York Times bestseller, and he basically theorizes that the whole Jesus story was created by the Romans. And I'm going to be on the Vinny Eastwood show with him next week. That's going to be a very powerful show. I'll keep you guys.
Yeah, no, let me know. I'll definitely watch that. I think we both know that there's two Jesuses, right? There's the Elohim, the Christ, which is the avatar.
How about Jesus too?
Jesus, isn't that the guy that cuts my lawn?
Did you ever watch American Gods?
Of course.
Sorry,
of course.
I couldn't find my cut.
Siri, you just connected with Siri. Sorry.
They had all the Jesuses there at that Easter party. It was hilarious. And I read that great book.
I mean, your books obviously really helped me, but again, the Elohim, Jesus the Word, and then Jesus the Christ of the corrupted Christian / Abrahamic religion. They're separate beings. There's no doubt about it. I mean, all you have to do is do a little bit of homework and a little bit of research, and you'll figure that out. Absolutely. The one thing in that book, though, with Baba G that really kind of, set me for a loop was the idea that Jesus and Buddha are brothers, and Jesus was sent, again, the real ones, not the false ones. Jesus was sent to teach mankind salvation. Now, how funny is that, right? Because religion in the Abrahamic context teaches Jesus saves. So there's this literal interpretation, but what if the reality is Jesus was sent, again, as an avatar spiritual being, son of Thoth, son of God, whomever, whatever you want to refer to it, to teach us how to get out of the reincarnation wheel. And Buddha, his brother, was sent to teach us how to become enlightened, which, by the way, are 2 different things.
They are.
And David Hawkins defines this very, 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 very definitively in the eye. He says salvation is 540 level of consciousness, loving vibration, and enlightenment is 700 to 1,000, and 1,000 being the great spiritual Buddha was 986 or something like that. But the great spiritual teacher. So the difference between enlightenment and salvation for all of us, simple to know, is salvation is literally just doing the 3 things, which we talked about at the beginning of the show or on the last show, which is, again, serving others, practicing loving as a state of being, and forgiveness.
So salvation is getting into service to self mindset, getting into service to others mindset, and out of service to self.
Enlightenment is where it gets hard, because enlightenment is literally the ability to dissolve the ego on command. Now, I didn't say kill the ego, people.
That's right.
We are physical beings, and our ego, as Jeff said very clearly in his books, is a program that literally ensures our physical survival in the meat suit. You don't have an ego, you're not going to survive when you're out on the plains and there's a 700-pound saber-toothed tiger that's going to eat you.
Yeah.
You got to have an ego.
It's designed to kill you. It doesn't care about you. It's very, very doesn't care about you at all, and you will die without your ego. So your ego, terrible master, but a good servant.
How cool would it be, though, Jeff, if that really is the truth, that Buddha and Jesus were brothers, sons of God, whatever, and one was sent, awesome, one was sent to save us, or teach, that's awesome, and teach us salvation, or teach us how to get out of the reincarnation wheel, and the other guy was sent to teach us how to become an ascended master.
That's what it's all about right there.
There you go.
This is the new cosmic kitten right here.
That's awesome, dude. I wish I could have a cat. I'm so allergic to those guys.
We now have 2 new cosmic kittens.
That's awesome, dude.
But he heard saber-toothed tiger. He said, "Oh, they're talking about me. Let me go in there." Jay, have you heard about the idea that most of the Lord of the Rings came to Tolkien in a dream and he believed it was the past or something and not just fantasy?
I have heard. I'm very, very familiar with J.R. Tolkien. I've read all of his books, even the Cimarron. I've read all of his stuff. And Elvish, the language, which, by the way, for some of you guys, I don't know if you guys know this, was actually a declined language, and it was given to him, and it is entirely real. And so whether it came to him as a download, Jeff, or a channeling, or however you want to call it, there's no question that J.R. Tolkien was given that information. I believe that all of that esoteric lore from The Hobbit is based on a very real inner earth, interdimensional, some form of cosmic history, without question. There's no doubt. None. Like Sauron is, again, Lucifer. I mean, the Dark Brotherhood, the leader of the Dark Brothers. I mean, it's definitely like relevant to that, without question.
Wow, it's amazing. And this is sometimes the chat room is almost as good as the show. There's a lot of great minds in this chat room. There really is. There really are.
They have questions? Do we want to answer some questions?
Oh, dude, they've been having questions the whole time. The only ones I look at are Sandra's, but no, I do. You remember that picture about that Obama security dude that everybody says looked like an alien or something?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody mentions that.
Well, we didn't even talk about Obama because I know we don't like to talk about politics. But by the way, isn't it weird that Obama just checked into Kenya right now? Hello.
That is weird.
Is he seeking asylum?
Ooh, because that's where he was born. Alfred says that the Anunnaki deactivated some of our genes to prevent us from seeing higher dimensions.
Without a doubt. 100%.
And that's why our DNA is being reconstructed.
Right. Latent DNA.
The divine architecture in the Starseed template. Magenta Pixie will be here Friday.
Oh, that's awesome. Let me know when you guys go live because I want to listen to her because I have so many people talking about her. But that's latent DNA programming is one, without a doubt, that goes back to Napoleon. If they tweaked us, then that means that we have that capacity. And you're right. As the energetic whatever ascendant, thing happens as we move into this energetic cloud in the universe or whatever, maybe that's exactly what happens. That latent DNA just goes, whoop, turns on, boom.
Yeah. And I've become convinced that our uncontrolled emotional releases, be it rage or be it lust, are what sends signals to this matrix or to the Anunnaki, whoever. And it's like those things in the matrix that came, those machines that came and with all the tails and stuff. So you got to learn to control your emotions.
Those machines are the archons. There's no question. I just had my regression hypnosis there, my hypnosis therapist.
Easy for you to say.
She was just here before our show. She's going on a 2-week vacation to Florida, and she wanted to talk to me about something. And we were literally talking about Fluffy. She doesn't know what Fluffy is. Should I get Fluffy? And then on top of Fluffy, I was thinking about just the reading of Hawkins and how much that's changed everything. And I told her I have not had a massive explosion blowout since I turned Fluffy on. There's no doubt. That's how Jeff, that is how they feed on us. There's no doubt that energetic construct that the archons have created around us, when we get reactionary and angry and violent and whatever we do, that's when they eat. That's how they feed.
That's absolutely how they feed. And that's why they're trying to get us in mess with each other. So we'll keep tweaking each other so they'll have something to eat.
So many people ask us, how can someone rape a child? How can someone eat a kid? How can they sacrifice a child? Because these beings take over through walk-ins or animation or whatever they're doing, powerful people on our planet. And then when they do this to our children, they are relishing in it. It's called loosh. You guys can Google loosh right now and read. There's unbelievable scientific references about loosh now. There were theorists in the late 19th and early 20th century writing about it. I just saw something somebody sent me yesterday, like, you need to check this out. And I was like, whoa, there's so much coming out. They cannot suppress anything anymore. They can't. It's all out there.
And I just put the link to the book into the chat room.
Nice.
There's no
it's crazy.
DNA, just DNA that's not been activated. Vinny Eastwood is a great program. Lord of the Rings. I don't believe, somebody says Yeshua was born from the line of David through Mary. I don't think he was ever born, but that's me.
Right.
Catherine says he was a decoy on a cross. Oh, so he was like a scarecrow. That's an interesting analogy.
Nailed to a tree. Yeah.
I wonder why I've never thought about that. That was good. That was good. And I mean, I'm telling you, folks, meditation is so important. And there's even depths of meditation. Sandra's now learning the crucial nature of your posture in meditation.
Oh yeah, that's Gerald Clark, right? That's his structural integration. You guys, if you're not paying attention to Gerald Clark's Structural Integration Academy, he just created an online school. It's really cheap. He is a professional structural integrator. He has like 9 years of schooling. He just hasn't been doing it because he's been so into his Anunnaki and writing his books and doing all this stuff. But they just launched their Structural Integration Academy. And you just go to GeraldClark.net or just Google Gerald Clark Structural Integrating Academy. It's really, really cost effective. It's not expensive, but that is unbelievable. Again, we talk about it, Jeff, lining up your chakras, clearing up, having your spine integrated, aligned. I mean, it's huge. I mean, you can't receive downloads if you're blocked. It's that simple.
Yeah. And I'm this close, Jay, to saying, if you're not going to start meditating, don't even call me anymore. Don't even set up an appointment with me, because I'm wasting my time and you're wasting yours.
I would say this, because Hawkins is really big on talking about this. Meditation can also, and again, I'm not instituting fear, but meditation, if not done correctly, and very few people are going to do it wrong, because obviously it's many different things to many different people, but meditation does open one up. Long-term deep meditation beyond an hour. It can.
Yeah, you don't want to do it that long.
Right. It can open you up to astral beings that are not, they don't have your best interest at heart. So, Hawkins loves to talk about contemplation. He says, learn to silence the mind. Because again, all meditation, as you know, Jeff, is silencing the mind.
Absolutely.
Silencing the mind, it's going into a void, or it's going into your personal space where you have a connection to God, a direct connection to God. But contemplation of 10 to 15 minutes is just as effective as meditation, again, assuming you know how to silence the mind. And all things come from practice. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And I appreciate the way this community works together. I just had somebody I greatly respect tell me about someone that was trying to infiltrate the chat room. So we simply hid them on this channel, so we won't have to deal with them anymore. Thank you very much for that, without mentioning any names.
Awesome. Thank you.
We gotta have each other's back, right?
100%. Thank you guys, whoever did that and notified Jeff. We appreciate it. There's definitely a lot of dark forces out there right now.
Lynn, I would say, from what I know, and my instructor, my meditation instructor's in the chat room, so you can ask her, the Vipassana meditation is, it literally has changed my life.
That's awesome, man.
It really has. Jay, what else do you have?
That's it. I mean, amazing. Another great show. Kind of last minute notice. I mean, guys, Jeff and I are going to definitely without question start making this a big point of emphasis for us. We're going to go a little bit bigger. We'll be talking about how we're going to do that soon. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow us obviously on our YouTube channel. My YouTube channel is nothing compared to Jeff's. I think it's like 4,200 subscribers. But if you want,
you're on your way, man.
if you want optimization and you want health and you want the smartest doctors in the world, you know, that you can ask questions to that they're going to answer, it's every Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's YouTube/TRT Revolution. And then again, if you want any of my books or teachings or any of that stuff, my spiritual fitness book is also now a PDF. Just email me. It's j@trtrevolution.com. I'll be happy to send it to you.
Sorry, I'm typing in Vipassana in the chat room so people can see what it is. And that that person just gave me one more message, and I guess I'm going to blow the anonymity, but Derek from Global Witness says, Jay, let's do something together this week. Let's do a podcast with the three of us.
Dude, I'm down. Derek, you're the man, dude. I watched you and Jeff's whole entire podcast. That's pretty hard coming from me, man. You're the man, dude. Definitely. I'm up. Let's rock.
That'll be a great time. It really will. That'll be a great time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was good stuff. Jay, thanks for your friendship. Thanks for your motivation and your instruction. And we need to get Jim on one of these days to talk with us.
Jim is very woo too. He's just very, very, he's got a wage slave world job. You know, he has to be very private. He can't come out and, you know, talk about this stuff. It's tough enough to get him to talk bad about doctors.
I got it. And we are getting the tribe together. That's what's going on here, folks. And I just want to thank you, folks. We've had about 1,000 subscribers to the channel in the past 2 weeks. We're blowing up again. And I give people like Jay and Derek and Sandra all the credit for that. Heidi, Jenny Moonstone, of course, Rex and Wayne. Thank you for all the people. You know, I'm standing, you know, I'm getting a boost up from all these other great people. And I know that. And I'm the divinity in me does recognize the divinity in all of you. And Jay, I hope that we can make it happen where we can meet each other face to face sooner rather than later.
No, we will, brother, for sure. Like once I got to go to Toronto to speak at the big Swiss conference, which is a huge, very humbling honor for me. It's like the best of the best in international symposiums on science and fitness and everything like that. So I'm doing I don't know if it's the main speech, but it's one of the biggest ones. And that's at the end of October. And then once that comes done, I'm going to have 2 or 3 months to not travel. I will tell you, we are planning or attempting to plan a trip to Machu Picchu.
Oh, that would be great.
I think in February, dude, I think we should all go. I think that would be amazing. I
would love to do that. And
I think it's only a 2.5 hour flight or maybe a 3 hour flight from where you're at. It's like a 7 hour flight.
It's Peru, right?
Yeah. Yeah. You fly, you can literally, they have an international airport now in Cusco, which is not far. I mean, it's like a bus ride to the temples.
February, dude, we might be able to make that happen.
I think we should do it, dude. We'll talk. We'll talk off air.
I want to go bad enough where I would get a job and work it and save the money up to go do that. I'm serious, bro.
I don't think, honestly, if we plan it in advance, I don't think it'll be that expensive. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not very expensive down there. It really isn't.
Dude, I am down. Monica's going, right?
Of course. Yeah. I think Tony and his fiance are going to go. I mean, I'll ask Jim and Rosie. I mean, they don't travel very much because they're dogs.
Princess Precious. What's her name?
Princess and Tony. Yeah.
Princess. Yeah. That's really her name.
I mean, she goes by Jessica, but her real name is Princess. Yeah. That's her real name. She's an awesome thing. Awesome.
Of course,
awesome
I call Sandra my queen. So
yep.
That will work out. But yeah, I would love to do that. I really would. That would be fantastic. And I had something.
That's like Monica's on her bucket list right now and like her dream trip right now. So we're looking into it. But yeah, we can definitely talk off air on that.
And I got a text from Rex today, and he's banding about the idea of some type of a conference out in Colorado sometime later this year.
Well, if we're gonna
in October, maybe.
Dude, if we're gonna do a conference, we should just do our own and invite maybe 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 or 7 other dignitaries and have it somewhere where it's just so dirt cheap that like the people that come, that are invited, it's not gonna be, offensive from a cost standpoint.
And then like Orlando or Vegas.
Well, or we could do it somewhere in like Mexico where it's like so cheap that if people decide to come and make a vacation out of it, you just do a 2-day or a day and a half conference and then people can make a vacation out of it. It would be dope.
That is dope a good thing or a bad thing?
A good thing.
Dope's a good thing? Okay.
Not bad meaning good, but good meaning bad. Yes.
That's a great idea. I think, I mean, if we had, I mean, we could pack a place out, and could you imagine the synergy in that place? And remember, like Jeff and Clayton told us, we can focus Fluffy on that event as well.
We could, dude. There's no question we could get.
What if we focus the enhancement zone on the platform of that event?
That'd be crazy. I think a lot of people would overheat probably. we'd have cases of spontaneous human combustion.
Yeah, we just, again, though, we want to caution anyone, as Tracy says, if you owe more than 50,000 to the IRS, don't come to the Mexico conference.
You guys, I'm not joking. I had to say that today because that is some serious stuff. There are a lot of people out there that are on installment payment plans, and they're basically telling you, look, man, we're confiscating your passport.
Yep.
That's not
Terrible
good.
Terrible stuff, ladies and gentlemen.
Big Brother is watching.
He definitely is. And like, I hate to quote the Apostle Paul, but he said there's a reason he doesn't bear the sword in vain.
Exactly. Well, it's just like you said, Jeff, we are the last remaining humans, and it's up to us to get a big enough mission and enough people following us to stop our extinction, because the people that run this show, whether they're people or not, are planning our extinction. If not our extinction, they're creating some sort of a transmigrification of technology and humanity.
Absolutely they are. There's no doubt about it. And yeah, I mean, I think we could do something for sure. I've got a big event next April, but other than that, excuse me, not April, but next July. I think it's July.
Where is that?
Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. Is that going to be? I know what that event is.
Absolutely.
That's not a truth or an alternative movement event. I got you.
Well, it kind of is. I mean, what would you call it?
It kind of is. No comment, but an amazing time, an amazing event for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I absolutely think so. Well, Jades, we've gone way over. I appreciate your time. I'm willing to commit to do whatever that you want to commit to for doing this and growing this. I mean, we've already got, Derek Bros from Global Witness wanting to come on. I mean, we get Rocky Stucci on. And you know what? We don't want to make it, I hate this term, but we don't want to make it just a sausage fest either. There's a lot of great ladies out there. Your lady, my lady, two of them. And I don't mean, in a possessive way, but Monica, Sandra, Jenny Moonstone, Heidi Vandenberg. There's a lot of great women out there that we can bring in too, because we certainly could use the feminine wisdom as well.
Yeah, I mean, whatever we do, we'll always be bringing, special guests and people that can, increase the vibration, right? And that's obviously the most important thing and if you guys are watching our show right now and you think somebody would be great, guy or gal with Jeff or I, please reach out to us. We're very accessible.
Absolutely, and it wouldn't hurt to. Anyway, yeah, let's do that. Jay, I appreciate you being here, brother. I'll get with Derek and see what he's thinking time frame. Your time is the hard one because you're too busy selling multi-million-dollar real estate in Southern California.
I don't know about that, man. If you guys give me a time, I'll make it as long as it's like after 3 o'clock or, close to 3 o'clock on Pacific Standard Time. I mean, because obviously I want to get the West Coast audience too, and it's hard when you're in the middle of the day.
Hey, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, we will be in touch. To the rest of you, I salute you for being here seeking after truth. Namaste. The divinity in me really does recognize the divinity in you. And like I learned from Magenta Pixie's book, even though it's corny as hell, when you say love and light, it is an activation. It's a frequency. It's a modulation. So I am going to say, I wish every one of you love and light. For Jay Campbell, I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, and also, of course, working with Sandra D. And we will see you again next time.
Take care, guys.